Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today we're going to talk about Dungeons & Dragons 5th Edition. We're going to talk about Valor's Call, the good aligned crew in Wild Beyond the Witchlight. So let's talk about this. So this is, we've talked about League of Malevolence, which is the evil group, which is in Wild Beyond the Witchlight, and that is 5 non-player characters, all who are evil. Now we're going to talk about Valor's Call. So Valor's Call is 5 people. They're all from the Dungeons and Dragons 1980 Saturday morning cartoon. They are all from the XL1 Quest for the Heartstone, and they are all action figures except Moliver. All right, and let's talk about who they are. So it's 5 members. It's Stronheart. It's Stronheart, who is a human. Lawful good paladin. We are talking about Mercion, who is a good aligned, I think she's chaotic good, and she is a good aligned human cleric. And we're talking about Elkhorn. He is a dwarf fighter, and he is neutral good, I believe. And then we are also talking about Moliver, who is a good aligned, actually a lawful good thief, which is pretty unusual, right? And they are the thief of the group. And then so you have Elkhorn, you have Stronghart. Oh, and then we have Ringlerun, who is the chaotic good wizard. Okay. So I really find it fascinating that Valor's Call is in Wild Beyond the Witchlight, this Dungeons and Dragons book, and the reason why is League of Malevolence fits very easily into any Dungeons and Dragons campaign, right? And you know what to do with them as a dungeon master. It's really clear, right? They're non-player characters, and they're going to be foes to the heroes of the game. What do you do with Valor's Call? Right out of the gate, you got a problem, right? What's the problem? Well, what is the purpose of Valor's Call in a game that has good aligned heroes, right? Valor's Call is just a group of good aligned heroes. Now, they are epic. They're like Dungeons and Dragons. They're classic. They're classic heroes from the Saturday morning cartoons. They're classic heroes from the XL1 Quest for the Heartstone. And every single one of them, except Moliver, actually is represented by a real Americana toy. You know, the same action figure, literally the same size and format as, you know, the Star Wars toys, which transformed the world and transformed the way merchandise was sold, and became really the first, tell me if I'm wrong here, the first real merchandise that went global. And I'm talking like, I think, 1977, you had a lot of Americans. By 78, 79, like, little boys and girls were opening up Star Wars action figures. I doubt there was a continent on this planet where literally low millions of kids did not open up Star Wars toys, and Dungeons and Dragons was right there. It's the same type of toy, and like the other issue is, like, when you talk about vintage toys, the 1980s toys are really special because of that Saturday morning connection, and just what again, America just really transformed entertainment with this really unique form of entertainment that didn't start anywhere else in the world and really didn't exist anywhere else in the world until America had established it, right? So this group of heroes, right, what do you do with them? Because they're duplicative of the player characters, right? Well, there are different outcomes that can happen with Valor's Call, right? And I love this, right? One of the things that, let's talk about the non-obvious first. One of the things that can happen with Valor's Call is that the player characters can kill one or some of them, right? And if you think this is not correct, it is absolutely correct. And the reason why is they are statted like monsters. They have a challenge rating, right? And they have, like, the book says, if you kill this creature, this is how much XP you get, right? Like, now actually, the XP that's in them is actually not for Wild Beyond the Witchlight, but Wizards of the Coast understands that when you stat a monster, like, you say, if you defeat this creature, if you slay it, right? If you slay Stronghart, you're going to get this much XP, right? And that is really huge, right? It's just really huge concept that Stronheart has an XP value in case a player character kills him, right? Like that's really out there. Like it's it's a lot to wrap your mind around, but it is a possibility. And one of the reasons why is, one, you're dealing with the Feywild, right? And they said the Feywild is very unusual and very, topsy-turvy, right? And so in a world where, where you could be befuddled, or there are multiple goals on the table, and, and you might find the player characters defending Kellic for some reason, at that point, there may absolutely be a condition where one of your player characters is going to kill Stronheart, right? It's just not out of the realm of possibility. And that's one of the most beautiful things about Dungeons and Dragons is it's saying, hey, we're giving you the pins, you have the bowling ball, you knock these pins down, right? Or you can collect up the pins and paint them a different color, right? And that's the great thing. It's the thing I love about Dungeons and Dragons. It's so non-intuitive, so artistic, so unpredictable, right? And it's unpredictable from so many facets, right? Once these characters hit the ground, right? Once Ringelrun and Stronheart and Moliver and Elkhorn and Mercion hit the play table, right? You don't know what the DM is going to do. You don't know what the players are going to do, and you don't know what the dice is going to do, right? And so the story genuinely can go in any direction, right? And this is increasingly becoming outrageously rare in life, right? If you buy a novel today from a coastal elite, right? You know what their values are. You know what schools they went to, right? You know their leanings. You know where half their stories are going to go, right? But that's the wonderful thing about Dungeons & Dragons is you might know your dungeon master, right? You might know your players, but the dice can still shift the world, right? And shift it fundamentally. Now, if you have a suck DM who doesn't honor the dice, right, and is going to tell you whatever nonsense story they wrote in a book, and is unwilling to change the things that they've written on a piece of paper, then that might not happen. But if you have a top-tier DM who understands that we play to find out, we don't play to fulfill, right, then anything can happen. The other thing that can happen is, let's talk about, so one, your player characters could kill one or more members of Valor's Call, right? And that's what, player characters are allowed to be neutral, so that definitely can happen, right? So the next thing that could happen is they could join Valor's Call, right? And then at that point, you have a very different campaign, and by the way, it's truly incredible. Wild Beyond the Witchlight will take your player characters from level 1 through level 8, right? And it really is fascinating. And so when they get done with level 8, they could be going on adventures with, surviving members of Valor's Call, or all members of Valor's Call, right? And so it's really fascinating just how all of that comes together and actually fits together as a palette, right? And as a I'm just really fascinated by how all of this fits together. So they could join Valor's Call. The other thing is that one or more of the members of Valor's Call could end up joining the player characters group, right? So just the inclusion of Valor's Call in Wild Beyond the Witchlight, those are the three directions that can happen, right? Your player characters could kill one or more members or all members of Valor's Call, depending on how alliances fold out as the adventure goes forward. Or you don't run Wild Beyond the Witchlight at all, and you take Valor's Call and drop them into your campaign immediately, and then and then the two groups are opposed, which can absolutely happen, especially if you have even a single neutral character, right? The player characters can join Valor's Call, or any of the members of Valor's Call can join the player characters. So I love that the Valor's Call, this group of heroes, which is duplicative to your player character heroes, are included in the adventure. And I really also like that Chris Perkins doesn't shy away from putting really powerful people with powerful magic items into the game, right? And I also just am so thrilled with, like, here's another one, right? Valor's Call matters so much, right? What do you do with the fact that when you put Valor's Call into the game, right? It's great because all their equipment is statted, right? So, like, Ringelrun's Staff of Power, it's there, it's statted. You know exactly what it can do, right? And if Ringelrun gets killed by Kellic and Warduke, one of the player characters can walk away with the Staff of Power, right? It's so cool and so epic, and I'm just so thrilled with these factions that have been put into the game. And and by the way, I will be introducing Wild Beyond the Witchlight into my current game. Now, I'm not going to run the entire thing. I'm going to massively accelerate it, right? It'll probably be 1, 2, 3 sessions max, right? But I'm going to I guarantee you, every single member of Valor's Call and League of Malevolence will appear in the next session of my Dungeons and Dragons Sunday game, right? And I'm just super excited. I'm super excited about the magic items hit, the player characters themselves, these non-player characters of Valor's Call, all of it. I'm just really, really super psyched and really looking forward to seeing how all this shakes out. Well, that's my opinion. I'd love to hear your thoughts. How do you plan on using Valor's Call? What do you think of Chris Perkins putting in this this duplicative set of heroes? What do you do with a group of do-gooder adventurers? Because that's very duplicative of your player characters. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Let me know in the comments below. Please consider liking and subscribing. Have a wonderful millennium.